We are just a few hours into the second Trump administration. The 45th and 47th president was sworn in this afternoon, which is only the second time that has ever happened in history where we've had a president with a gap between his terms, and it went off without a hitch.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
But we have to talk about the absolute circus of events that led up to the inauguration. There's 4 major things that went down over the past couple of days you need to know about. First, I'm Hannah Cox with Base Politics. Welcome to my channel where I bring you my politically homeless takes on politics and culture. Before we jump in, please make sure to like this video and subscribe if you have not. Also hit that notification bell so you never miss one of my episodes. So the chaos leading up to the inauguration started on Friday when Trump announced that the actual inauguration ceremonies themselves would be moved inside. They blamed the incoming inclement weather. It is very, very cold in DC and across much of the country today. And so there was a huge change in the schedule of events, leaving many of the Trump supporters who had swarmed into the nation's capital without festivities to attend. Apparently, some 240,000 people had received tickets to attend the inauguration as originally planned outside. However, they were then moved predominantly over to the Capital One Arena, which can only hold about 20,000 people. So the vast majority of those people just ended up having to watch remotely.
From West Tennessee, and we drove 13 hours to be here. We were 6 hours in the trip, and we saw it on his truth, and yeah. And we didn't know really what to do at first. We're like, okay, do we still go? Because we had hotel rooms, you know, and stuff, and then we decided, yes, we're gonna go. DC's got a lot of other stuff to offer on top of knowing he's here, and we're here for him, and that's why we're here.
I traveled all the way from Kuwait.
We drove 8 hours, about 500 miles.
Dayton, Ohio, a suburb of Dayton.
We're coming from the Bay Area.
We traveled from Kansas.
Traveled all the way from South Dakota.
We're from Manchester, England.
We came from Charleston, South Carolina.
East Texas.
I'm from South Korea. We traveled about 660 miles from Missouri.
About 2,000 miles from Seattle.
From Florida.
We're here from London.
I came yesterday this site and taking pictures, and everybody was excited about putting everything up. And then we got the text, and it was indoors. And I don't know. I could understand. There's a lot of old people, and if it's really too cold, and if people get hypothermia, and what's going to happen, I think it's probably the best choice.
That's extremely disappointing. Really disappointing. I mean, we're all out here. We knew it was going to be cold.
Watching it, I personally disagree, but I understand it's going to be really cold, so maybe not everyone's up for that, but I think it should be outside. It was only inside when Reagan had it because it was on a Sunday, so I think that's a little different.
Everybody knows it's going to be like 15 to 20 degrees. Before we got in a plane, before we packed. I have 3 snow pants and 4 layers of clothes and double hats and warmers, and we're ready to go.
Some Trump supporters like this one took to Reddit to voice their frustrations. This person said, "We were so looking forward to bringing our 2 girls to the inauguration of President Trump, and now that has been canceled. We are trying to obtain a refund for the 2 nights we booked with the Hyatt Centric Arlington. We paid $1,700 for 2 nights in a hotel that is usually around $250 a night. We didn't have the option to get a refundable room, and now the hotel refuses to reimburse us. We are not wealthy. We put this expense on a credit card because it was important to us to give our kids the chance to witness a historical event." They reply, "It's the policy, but policies are not inflexible laws that prevent you from being reasonable." Now, obviously, these people have found little compassion online. They've been getting trolled, getting made fun of for going into debt to attend this kind of thing, and pointing out that it's obviously not the hotel's fault that the president changed his plans, and hinting at the fact that this is not the first time, nor will it be the last, that Trump has left his most diehard supporters on the line. Now, when I heard about this change of plans, obviously my first thought was like, cold weather, my foot. We have had plenty of cold inaugurations. Remember this iconic photo of Bernie Sanders sitting outside during a previously chilly ceremony? But I started digging into it, and while it is pretty rare, I think this is only like the 5th time this has happened in history, it's not totally unprecedented, and other inaugurations have been moved inside for merely the presence of cold weather. So who's to say what it actually came down to, but I still think probably there were some security issues at play, because not only did they change the plans and move the festivities inside into a much more controlled environment, they were also putting up all kinds of fencing and other security protocols around the Capitol. So I think they were at the very least anticipating there could be some violence. But the festivities did still kick off last night and in the days leading up to the actual ceremony, with Trump holding a pre-rally. And I think it's safe to say from some of the videos and pictures that have come out from these events that the gays are safe in this administration. I know there's been a lot of weeping and gnashing of teeth amongst the LGBT population. I really just cannot get on board with the notion that Trump is this anti-gay crusader. Like, watch this. The man had the Village People at his inauguration. I really don't, I can't think of a gayer performer to host. And not only did they perform at his inauguration, he was on stage dancing right alongside them. This person said, expectations, gay concentration camps, reality. Like, this makes me giggle that this photo will go down in history. He's having a great time. He's doing the YMCA dance. While the environment at these rallies certainly does seem to have been festive, that does not mean it did not get weird. You have to see this video of these Christian grifters, I don't know what else to call them, praying, and I'm putting praying in quotations because this is just sacrilegious at his event.
The worthy is the Lamb that was slain, but he is standing. Jesus Christ sits on the throne in heaven, and he is completely unmoved by any sort of political power. You can't elect him. You can't impeach him. He is the King of glory. The King of glory, and he is worthy of your praise. So, President Trump, we set the name of the Lord upon you, and we declare that no weapon formed against you will prosper, that every tongue that rises up against you in judgment will be condemned. And if God be for you, who can be against you? We bless you, President Trump, in Jesus' name.
Only with Trump could you get the evangelical grifters to come and yas queen along with the Village People at an event. It's truly remarkable. It's like he has managed to combine two of the most diametrically opposed cults. Fortunately, we were able to watch most of these events go down. Many had wondered if we would get to see the inauguration take place in real time, as TikTok kept its word and went dark on Saturday night. Users, including yours truly, got this notification when they tried to log on to the app late Saturday. It says, sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. A law banning TikTok has been enacted in the US. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok for now. We are fortunate that President Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned. Now, obviously, TikTok made the very funny political choice to absolutely throw the Biden administration and the Democrats under the bus with this notice. It's honestly chef's kiss, because nobody deserves it more. The Biden administration and the Democratic Party for the past 4 years have been the most censorious anti-free speech administration of my lifetime, and probably within all of US history. It has been disgusting what these people have tried to do and largely have gotten away with. So I think it's fantastic that TikTok did this to him. Many have pointed out it's hypocritical because obviously the TikTok ban originated with Trump. It was his idea. He went after TikTok and a lot of the tech sector very, very heavily during his first administration. That's one reason I've had a major issue with him, because it was very anti-capitalist, very anti-free speech. He managed to create a bipartisan movement to do this, and then Biden picked up the torch and actually signed it. And I just have to say, I don't have any sympathy for Biden. I think that the Democrats have largely been very unstrategic over the past couple of years, and really just throughout history. I mean, I really can't name anything they have accomplished other than creating record high inflation, gaslighting the American people more than any other leaders we've ever had to live under, creating a super toxic environment where Americans have turned against their neighbors and started canceling each other, and just created a horrible environment for everybody to live with them. And now they have gotten the backlash that they deserve, and they have achieved none of their ultra progressive goals. I mean, just a complete and total failure across the board. So I'm all here for dunking on them. They couldn't play chess. They fell right into Trump's hands. And the thing with Americans is they have a very short memory. They're going to forget that Trump is who kicked this off. They're just going to remember that that's who ultimately saved them if he does succeed in saving TikTok, which he has said is his goal. The funny thing is that during the roughly 13 hours that TikTok went dark, people, the digital refugees from the app, were fleeing to other platforms. They were going to places like Instagram and Meta, which lobbied heavily for the TikTok ban, but they weren't really going and adapting the culture there. You couldn't really say they were assimilating. They were mostly just posting this ban. Like my entire Instagram story feed all Sunday morning was just a consistent reposting of this notification. TikTok was all anybody could talk about on the other platforms, which I think shows you just how dominant it has been.
I'm gonna be annoyed for a second. All of y'all were telling me don't move to Instagram Reel because it's Meta, and Meta lobbied against TikTok, and that's why we hate Instagram Reels, because it lobbied against TikTok. And I get that part, right? I love this app. But I thought to myself, you know, Instagram Reels is still an option until something better comes around, until Neptune opens their doors. So I said, I'm just gonna repost the things that I've posted here onto the Instagram Reels. Y'all could have told me to just not go to Instagram Reels because they were mean. I wasn't familiar with the platform much. I've only ever posted just like pictures as like almost like a scrapbook, right? Like a digital scrapbook. I posted one video that I had already posted here that had good reception about how annoying it was that the Supreme Court was saying that Americans couldn't handle a disclosure on TikTok because they basically said that we were stupid, right? You know what the one and only comment on that video was? You must be allergic to testosterone. First of all, are we 5? And second of all, why are you pissed at me that I said that the government shouldn't say that we're stupid?
You guys, Reels were so bad. No, you have no idea. They were so bad. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be back.
And I agree with these people. Like the rest of them, I have not had a good time on Meta products in so long. The people there really are very mean and nasty. I don't understand what's going on there. I posed this question to my Facebook audience the other day, like, why are you guys so angry and mean and nasty and prone to conspiracy theories? And I haven't gotten a good answer yet, but it has been really funny to watch the predominantly younger TikTok audience tiptoe over there and discover that. And yeah, I mean, if anything, the 13 hours without it really did just prove how dominant TikTok is compared to these other platforms. It really just is so much better at giving people the content that they're actually interested in, at giving them news in real time, and at helping them form communities with other like-minded thinkers. So its absence was heavily felt. Apparently, the rest of the users on TikTok also really noticed our absence. I saw a lot of people posting very funny things about Americans not being on TikTok during that time period and how quiet it was and how much they missed us. I also saw a lot of charlatans who have previously supported getting rid of TikTok falling in line very quickly when they realized the public backlash that was coming their way, coupled with the fact that Trump has backed off of his previous antagonistic stance towards TikTok. Like here's Charlie Kirk. You can see in 2022, 2023, he's writing ban TikTok, ban TikTok, ban TikTok, just engagement farming over and over and over. And then on Sunday, once a deal was worked out temporarily with Trump and the platform, he wrote, TikTok is back. He's celebrating it. I don't know how anybody still follows these kinds of grifters. They have nothing interesting to contribute to the conversation. They have no principles. They don't even have a strong ideology. They literally just simp along for Trump and go whichever way the political winds move. And I just think it's totally pathetic.
We're banning TikTok because it's Chinese and it's polluting your brains.
We in China also banned it for our people.
What?
There's no TikTok in mainland China. We also banned it.
When you say it, it sounds bad.
I'm saying what you are saying.
It's bad for the people. They get exposed to all these brand new ideas and teachings.
Couldn't agree more. That is why we also removed it from our people.
Every time that you say what I'm saying, it makes it... when I say it's good, but when you say it's bad...
We are saying the same thing.
it's bad for the people to be exposed to all these ideas and different things, and we need more control over that.
Precisely.
God damn it. If they're not focused on, if they're doing this, then they're not focused on their work. Hardworking Americans.
We thought the same thing.
They're spying on us.
We said you're spying on us.
So the only difference between us is you went through with the ban and we have not yet gone through with it, right?
Otherwise, we are the same.
All right, I vote no. I don't care. Honestly, this whole thing, what did we get lobbied for? This was a lobbying thing, right? Nobody really knows what the fuck is going on. Ends up being way too over our heads because we don't understand it. I don't even know what Wi-Fi is, to be completely honest with you. I don't even know what Wi-Fi is. I just know I'm making about $200,000 a month on top of what I already make just from these lobbyists that just kind of have been trying to get us to remove TikTok.
But I'll tell you who's not a charlatan, one of the few people in politics and certainly in office, and that is Rand Paul, who has maintained a consistent support for free speech and has applied that to the tech industry in ways that many Republicans have failed to do. He was on Fox News having to set the anchor straight about who even owns TikTok over the weekend. Watch.
The most important fact of all of this, and it needs to be debated, not assumed as a fact. The company is owned 60% by international investors, 20% by the 2 Chinese software engineers who developed it, the entrepreneurs who began the business, and 20% by their employees, 7,000 of whom are American. So it's a very diverse ownership. It's not owned by the Chinese government. Allegations against a company owned by Americans, and you have to prove it in court.
Who owns that company? Who owns that company? ByteDance. ByteDance is owned by China.
No, it's not. See, that's a lie, and you're defaming the country. You're defaming the company. 60% of it is owned by international investors, 20% is owned by the software developers who are Chinese, and 20% is owned by the employees, 7,000 of whom are Americans. So it's a complicated
controls the algorithm?
But it's not owned by the government.
It's not about profits. Who owns the algorithm?
TikTok owns their own algorithm, and it's actually not in China.
Who owns TikTok? ByteDance. And who owns ByteDance? The Chinese government.
No, they don't. See, you've just told a lie, Brian. You can't say on TV something that's a lie about a company. Okay. That is an out-and-out lie, and it's provably
what is
false. A lie? And they're not owned by the Chinese government.
You can see this anchor's eyes start darting around as Rand is calling him out in real time, live on the air, for saying information that is maliciously wrong and that could actually hurt the company, because Fox clearly got in trouble for doing something pretty similar to that not too long ago. And yet he hasn't even bothered to fact check himself before stepping into this kind of debate. The people who continue to argue that the ban against TikTok is truly a national security threat, they literally never have done even the most minute of research into the operations of the app, into the actual way the law was crafted, how it was only narrowly applied to TikTok, proving that it's not really about national security, it's about limiting free speech. So many people have missed this, have just missed it over and over and over. It's very clear to see who's intelligent, who can think for themselves, who can actually read laws and policies, and who actually understands the First Amendment when it comes to this debate. I have to say, I didn't freak out about TikTok being down for 13 hours. If anything, I kind of secretly enjoyed it. It was nice. I kept going to hit the button and just, start scrolling, and I couldn't do it. And it forced me to do other things. Here I am out in public, hanging out with my husband, just having a great time without technology. When I did start to freak out is when I got this notice from CapCut, which I had no idea was also owned by ByteDance until it too went dark. And for you guys who don't know, those of us on YouTube and pretty much any other content creation platform, we are leaning heavily on CapCut. It is video editing for dummies. And I am a dummy when it comes to technology and editing. So this is when I started really worrying. So I was like, no, this is going to impact YouTube. I can't have YouTube taken away at the same time as TikTok. And thankfully, it all got sorted out. And it was just a very short window that we had to see what life would be like under this ban. Because after about 13 hours, TikTok posted a statement, and it says, in agreement with our service providers, TikTok is in the process of restoring service. We thank President Trump for providing the necessary clarity and assurance to our service providers that they will face no penalties, providing TikTok to over 170 million Americans and allowing over 7 million small businesses to thrive. It's a strong stand for the First Amendment and against arbitrary censorship. We will work with President Trump on a long-term solution that keeps TikTok in the United States. And users then got this notice on the app. It says, welcome back. Thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the US. You can continue to create, share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok. And I have to tell you, the leftists are so freaking mad about this. They're happy to be back on TikTok, but they are pissed that they feel like the app is now supporting Trump, propping Trump up. And that's kind of just funny for me to watch. What's not funny is how the federal government has not only been able to attack our free speech in this way, but how they have been able to toy with thousands, millions probably of people's livelihoods with this. There are so many people who not only make money off of the app as influencers, but who use the app to promote their small businesses, to sell their products. Like, this is just something that should not be allowed to stand. And the US government should have to pay those people damages for coming in and messing with their economic opportunities in that way. I don't understand conservatives who are just like, well, it's fine because China is somehow sort of involved in ways that I don't understand. And then we're like ranting and raving over the lockdowns where the government did something similar and came and shut down people's businesses. Be consistent, for the love of God. This is a softball. If you can't hit it, you need to get out of politics, and you certainly cannot claim to support free market capitalism or the Constitution or a limited government. But before I give Trump too much credit, okay, because I like that he has at the very least admitted he was wrong when it comes to TikTok and is now working to do the right thing in this situation, it remains to be seen like what avenues he actually has to negotiate a deal here, because the law is written pretty stringently and it's been upheld in the courts. So I'm curious to see what happens. We'll find out in the coming days. But he was simultaneously doing something far less honorable at the same time over the past weekend, which was creating a new Trump meme coin.
Donald Trump and his wife Melania have released their own cryptocurrencies, and they've exploded to a value of billions of dollars, all on the eve of Trump's return to the White House, where he plans to
ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet.
So what's going on? On Friday, Trump launched his own meme coin called Trump. A meme coin is a type of cryptocurrency inspired by internet trends. They're not seen as very reliable because they're susceptible to crashing. Within hours, the total value of Trump's coin had jumped to a value of more than $14 billion, and it broke into the world's top 20 cryptocurrencies. 80% of the supply of this coin is held by companies affiliated with Trump. Then on Sunday, Melania Trump dropped her own coin. In 10 minutes, its total value had shot up to $1.8 billion. But at the same time, the value of Trump's meme coin tanked and halved to a value of $7.3 billion. As of midday on Monday, Trump's coin steadied to around $10 billion. So why does this matter? Crypto funders poured millions of dollars into the Trump campaign during the election. And Trump's packed his inner circle with pro-crypto appointees. And Trump even calls himself the crypto president. His presidency marks a shift in the perception of crypto, and the expectation is for less regulation under his leadership, marking a new future for the US financial system.
Now, obviously, meme coins are looked down upon by the vast majority of the investment world. They are very, very risky. They tend to prey on investors who are not super skilled or informed. And there's the added problem with this, that this is a money funnel for people to be able to pour into the Trump family over the next couple of years. We have always tried to situate the president and these roles to be somewhat exempt from market forces while they are in office, so that they are not being bribed, so that they are not being lobbied in ways that are going to make them more likely to work against the American people versus for the people they actually represent. So I do think this is sketchy. I don't think this is surprising. And that's what I thought was odd, were the number of people who were just aghast that he would pull this off. I saw a lot of people like this guy, Han Shaughnessy, who said, I am growing less and less optimistic about Trump's second term. I hope I will be proven wrong, but it really doesn't look good right now. And this just confuses me because yes, we are only a few hours into the second administration, but obviously we've had a few weeks now to kind of see what Trump's goals are going to be, what his focus is going to be on, what kind of, things he's going to pull. And nothing he's done thus far has surprised me at all. In fact, it's been perfectly in keeping with who he is as a person, with how he conducted himself in the first administration, and with the things he had promised on the campaign trail. I don't know if a whole bunch of people in America just weren't paying attention to those things, but the fact that you feel hoodwinked by him launching a meme coin really speaks volumes about you at this point. Like, this is the same Trump that had Trump University. This is the same Trump that has been out here grifting and selling tennis shoes and Bibles, okay? Like, he has frequently preyed upon his supporters for money in ways that are certainly shady, if not flat out unethical. He was out trying to fundraise tons of money, claiming that the election had been stolen when it wasn't, and when he wasn't even alleging that in the lawsuits he was filing, but was raising tons of money from gullible supporters who kept giving him funds to try to challenge the election. So what about this really caught you off guard? I think that's weird. This guy said, you expected Trump and his wife to sell Hawk Tuah style shitcoins they could rug pull their followers with so they could make billions of dollars the days before he was inaugurated? That kind of caught me off guard, to be honest, and my expectations of him are on the floor. And I was like, no, nothing could have surprised me less than him doing that. Another person said, when your first preemptive act is to create a meme coin to griff off the American people, it tends to cast doubt on what you will do in the future. The fact that you had faith on what he would do in the future is what I think is sus. As Anthony Scaramucci, who was a very brief former Trump White House appointee in the first administration, said, now anyone in the world can essentially deposit money into the bank account of the president of the USA with a couple of clicks. AP News went on to report that the sale of Trump meme coins was organized by CIC Digital, an affiliate of the Trump Organization. The coins website said 200 million Trump meme coins are currently available, with plans to issue 1 billion over the next 3 years. CIC Digital and another company collectively own 80% of the Trump meme coins and will receive trading revenue derived from trading activities, according to the token's website. But not to be outdone, Biden seized his final few hours in office to out-corrupt anything I think Trump could even dream of doing. He took this opportunity to pardon a slew of people, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, multiple members of his family, and a ton of people who worked in or around his administration, particularly people like Liz Cheney, who were involved with investigations into January 6th. Now, notably and most sinisterly, all of these pardons were issued preemptively, which is a very, very uncommon practice. Typically, pardons and clemency are meant to be used by the executive office as a check and balance on the justice system, which is very, very needed. There are a ton of people in our justice system who are very deserving of that kind of mercy or of that secondary review, who had a lot of things go wrong in their trial. Unfortunately, we rarely see the executive, which would be the president or the governor, actually apply this check and balance as it was supposed to be used. They hardly ever actually come in and do that sort of review. Instead, increasingly, we see a trend where they are using them to pardon their political friends and their family. And Biden claims to have done this because he wants to prevent political prosecutions against these people. So none of them have been convicted. They haven't even been charged with crimes, but he issued blanket preemptive pardons, giving them entire years, sometimes even decades of time where they are totally exempt from being held accountable for any illegal actions they may have taken. This is absolutely insane, especially considering that Biden has consistently tried to pretend he is some like law and order institutionalist meant to uphold the rule of our country's laws. And it's all bogus. It's absolute BS. He believes in a two-tiered justice system. He's the architect of it, actually. He's the one that enacted many of the very unjust, unfair laws we still have operating on our books that have targeted poor people and people of color in this country unjustly, leading to the largest incarceration rate in the world. And then he uses his power to get people around him who have committed actual crimes out of trouble. It shouldn't be allowed. This is absolutely disgusting. I first saw the news of Dr. Anthony Fauci and I was aghast. I was so livid. I don't think I've been more infuriated in the past couple of months, because the fact that we already know Fauci broke at least 2 laws. We know that he illegally funded research that is torturous of animals in Wuhan during a time period where it was illegal, most likely leading to a lab leak. That is something that we know without a shadow of a doubt. The White Coat Waste Project, where I am a fellow, leaked that information. They obtained it via FOIAs all the way back in early COVID. We had to overcome all kinds of censorship online, in the mainstream media, and at the behest of the Biden administration in order to get that information in front of the American people. Fauci was very instrumental in working to censor that information and ensure that people could not obtain the truth about what he had been doing with our tax dollars illegally. He then lied to Congress under oath when Rand Paul tried to question him. So that's 2 crimes we already know without even doing extensive investigations. The fact that this man is the very, very likely cause and funder of a global pandemic that killed millions of people, that wrecked our economy, that ruined our way of life, that was used to try to usurp our basic foundational liberties, he should face, at the very least, investigations and charges into his actions, and most likely he should be in jail. And the fact that Biden just came in and ensured that he could not be held accountable to the American people, I think it's treasonous. As this person on Twitter said, the fact that the Fauci pardon specifically and explicitly addresses his COVID-related offenses while being backdated to 2014, the year the gain-of-function ban took effect, which Fauci circumvented by outsourcing experiments to China, speaks volumes as to what this is really about. And Biden tried to say, oh, I'm not issuing these because there's any presence of wrongdoing. It shouldn't make you think that there's any presence of crimes. I just don't want people to be politically prosecuted. He spent the past 4 years doing. It's just beyond the pale. Here is Biden talking about how corrupt and problematic this kind of preemptive pardon would be. Because if you don't remember, Democrats were wringing their hands and claiming this is what Trump would do when he exited office in 2020. They're like, he's going to pardon his family members. He's going to pardon all these people who worked around him. He didn't do any of that. But here's Biden hand-wringing over that possibility. He said, well, it concerns me in terms of what kind of precedent it sets and how the rest of the world looks at us as a nation of laws and justice. Now, in terms of the pardons, you're not going to see in our administration that kind of approach to pardons, nor are you going to see in our administration the approach to making policy by tweets. It's going to be a totally different way to which we approach the justice system. This guy needs to get stuffed. And so does the rest of his corrupt, disgusting family, which he also took the liberty to pardon. As Glenn Greenwald said, everything Democrats and corporate media falsely claim Trump would do with the pardon power to destroy democracy and the rule of law, pardon all of his family members and all his political allies, were things Trump didn't do. They were, however, all things that Biden did. And just look at the different ways that the media covered this. This is the New York Times. Back in 2020, they said President Trump doled out clemency to a new group of loyalists on Wednesday, wiping away convictions and sentences as he aggressively employed his power to override courts, juries, and prosecutors to apply his own standard of justice for allies. And here's that same publication today, January 20th, 2025. President Biden moved just hours before leaving office on Monday to guard some of President-elect Donald Trump's most high-profile adversaries against a promised campaign of retribution by issuing preemptive pardons to head off politically driven prosecutions. We do not hate these people enough. They are enemies of the people. The corporate press is the enemies of the people. And Joe Biden is the worst president of my lifetime. I'm putting him up in place number 3 right now. FDR, absolute monster. Woodrow Wilson, disgusting spawn of Satan. Joe Biden, I don't have words bad enough for him that I don't have to censor myself on YouTube. I hate him. I'm so thankful to see this loser kicked out of office. And I don't even like Trump, okay? That should speak volumes. Now, I have seen a lot of people saying that these pardons can be challenged and that because Biden is not mentally all there, that maybe they could be challenged in court. I don't think that that's very likely. The courts have always been pretty deferential to the executive's pardon power. And again, because it's supposed to be a check and balance on the justice system, I don't have a problem with that if the pardons were being applied and used in the ways that they were enacted to do. But because they are not being, I think we've got to have some legislation to ban this kind of activity, particularly to ban preemptive pardons. And that outright attack on the American people and on their ability to hold their leaders accountable for their actions brings us to the close of the failed Biden administration and into the actual inauguration, which, like I said at the top, was pretty uneventful. However, it does look like Trump is going to be issuing a bucket load of executive orders this afternoon following the inauguration's festivities. So I will be investigating those, and likely we will talk about some of that tomorrow. All right, guys, I hope you liked this episode. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you have not, and if you want even more content, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok.